Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Katie Wismer. I'm an author and an editor. I have 8 books out currently. Links for everything are down below in the description. I write spicy and bloody vampire books, emotional contemporary romances, and poetry. So I am filming 2 videos that are going to go hand in hand. One being my goals for 2023, and then this video being making the plan basically to achieve those goals, making my writing schedule for 2023. So if you haven't seen the other one, I'll have it linked down below. I don't know which order I'm going to be posting them in. I'm actually filming this one first, so it's a little bit confusing in my head. This is not something I've done in the past where I've planned out my entire year ahead of time, just because I'm a pretty, I was gonna say I'm a go with the flow person. I want to be. It's more of just plans change. So if I make a plan for the entire year, by the time I hit like July, things have shifted. So there's a very good chance that's still going to happen. But now that I have these deadlines so far in advance, I think it's important that I try and make this kind of schedule for myself. Before, I didn't used to do like really long pre-orders for my books, so it was easier to be more go with the flow and just kind of figure things out as they came. But now I have pre-orders set for like a year in advance for the next book in a series. So it is kind of important for me to be able to figure out when I can be working on certain projects, so I'm not getting myself in a time crunch where I have to write a book in a month or 2 to hit a deadline, because I am, if nothing else, good about hitting deadlines. I refuse to push them back. I refuse to not make them. We're gonna be doing this in Google Calendars, which I've never used before, so this will be a learning experience for the 2 of us. We're having some coffee together. It's gonna be grand. Okay, so before I get into the like planning of the writing schedule, I'm gonna add all of the important dates to the calendar for me to remember. So let's start with January. So on the 9th, okay, I can add in here. Broken Perfect Lies goes to my proofreader. I don't really think we need to add all that. It doesn't matter. It's just that day. So I need to be done with Broken Perfect Lies by January 9th, and then I will be getting it back from her no later than, okay, can we just work with me here, please? Thank you. We're getting it back on the 23rd. So, and I'm giving myself this week. Can I create something that like goes for the whole week? Ooh, there we go. I'm gonna be formatting. It does not usually take me that kind of time for formatting a book. It's usually like I can do it in a day. But Broken Perfect Lies, I don't know how much I want to tell you. The formatting is going to be special and it has a lot going on. So I just want to give myself plenty of time to work on that, make sure there aren't any mistakes. And I think it's going to be really cool once I get it all figured out, but I want to give myself plenty of time to get that all done. I'm also going to be bringing on some people from my Patreon who are going to get the book early to help with proofreading after I get it back from my proofreader, just to see if they catch any other errors. So I'm thinking I want to be done with the formatting and stuff so they get the final version, they get to see how it's supposed to look, and then I'm going to send Broken Perfect Lies to the patrons who are going to be helping with that, and it's just going to be whenever they can get it done. But then we are sending out ARCs with this book, so I do want to give them some time to finish it first in case they catch anything. But if ARC readers see a couple of typos, it's not the end of the world. That's pretty standard for ARCs. So I want to wait at least a week before sending out ARCs. I've been going back and forth on what I want the release day for this book to be. I'm thinking it's going to be the 20th. I haven't set up the pre-order or anything, so it's still flexible. I did reach out to my cover designer to make sure she'd be able to get in to finalize the paperback and stuff in time, and we're all good there. So we'll just say this will be for ARCs. Okay. So that's for that book, and now we're gonna go to all the way fast forward to September. Now let me see. What date did I set for this book? This one is up for pre-order. Ruthless Ends is coming out on September 22nd. I chose this day because it's the first day of fall and I just thought that was a vibe. Release date. This is the 4th book in the Marionettes series. I also have my, do I have my proofreader booked for this one? For everybody who always comments about how like organized I am, you're seeing firsthand that that's not quite the case. No, I don't have her booked yet. Okay, so I'll need to email her. Timing wise, I usually like to have the proofreader booked at least a month before release just to kind of finalize all that stuff. So let's say, but I also don't like to cut it too close because that stresses me out. I want to make sure I give her at least 2 weeks and then I want to make sure everything looks good afterwards, do my own proofread afterwards. Honestly, let's say the 22nd of August as an estimate. So those are the 2 projects that are definitely coming out next year. So those are the 2 things that we are focusing on. Those are the 2 things that we have dates already set for. Something I'll be talking about in that goals video is wanting to take more breaks throughout the year. I have a very bad habit of working for like 10 months straight on editing clients and not even taking like a day off. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just take the whole month off now that I'm so burnt out and then we'll get back to it. I don't want to be doing that this year. I want to just take like regular smaller breaks throughout the year so it doesn't get to that point where I have to take a whole month off. I have been scheduling upcoming editing clients in such a way that I will have some weeks where I'm not working on them at all, with the hope of like those time periods is when I'll really have a lot of time to work on my stuff. So when I'm scheduling, I want to be aware of what weeks those are so I can plan accordingly. So low editing work weeks. I had a client have to reschedule from the first week of January and I take the second half of December off anyway, so that just means that goes until the 16th basically. Because of all the stuff for Broken Perfect Lies, that'll be good timing for me to just be able to focus on that. And then I only have 1 client in May and then I'm taking the first half of July off. The January break will be good for Broken Perfect Lies stuff and then the July break will be good for Ruthless Ends stuff, especially if I'm trying to finalize that and get that to my editor in August. With May though, my thing is Broken Perfect Lies is pretty much done. I'm doing some minor tweaks on it right now. I'm line editing, copy editing and everything. It's pretty much ready to go. So the only book that is still in early stages that I'm working on is Ruthless Ends, and I tend to work on more than one project at once. But Ruthless Ends being the 4th book in a series and it's a fantasy series, it's got all of, it's complicated. It's going to take me a lot of time and a lot of work to do. I don't want to overwhelm myself by trying to work on too many projects at once while I'm working on this one. So, but I also think I'm not going to need 9 months of this year to only be working on this book and not have another project, you know? So it's balancing Ruthless Ends always needing to be the top priority of this year with, but I also want to work on other stuff because that's just how I work best. I haven't really started Ruthless Ends yet. I have, but like I haven't really started focusing on it yet. I've been trying to wrap up Broken Perfect Lies first. So once Broken Perfect Lies goes to the editor on the 9th, I'm feeling like the second that's out of my hands, I'm going to be full speed ahead on Ruthless Ends. What is today? Today is December 9th. I want to get at least 10,000 words of the book written before the end of December. So for January, for Ruthless Ends, we want to write at least, so it's reasonable to think I'd be able to get quite a bit done. I want to have it to at least 30K by the end of January. Easy. I want to set a lower goal so then if I pass it, I feel good about myself, not a higher goal. So if I don't hit it, I feel bad about myself, you know? So we want to hit 30K by the end of January for Ruthless Ends. Something that was challenging with Bloodless Ties is I feel like I let it drag out too long. I gave myself too many breaks with this one, and part of the reason was because I had so many other things that I was trying to do at the same time. I had editing clients and everything. I started the rough draft in last November, and honestly, the rough draft just like never ended. I just like kept writing it and kept writing it and kept writing it, and I started editing. It just got really complicated instead of just like having a certain amount of time to finish the rough draft. And so that's something I really don't want to do with Ruthless Ends, is let it drag out for the entire year where I'm just kind of working on it here and there. I feel like with Bloodless Ties, me having that November release date that was so far in the future, I didn't feel the sense of urgency to work on it. I was like, oh, I've got all this time, so I would work on it here and there. So with Ruthless Ends, I want to like pretend that the release date is a lot closer and get the draft done instead of feeling like I have all of the time in the world to work on it, if that makes sense. So realistically, my rough drafts tend to be pretty short. I'm trying to think what this draft is probably going to end up being. I feel like Bloodless Ties, the short rough draft of that was still like 80K because it's such a long book. I don't know if Ruthless Ends is going to be that long. I don't know, to be honest. What are my editing clients looking in February? Okay, so we're back to 2 clients a month for February, March, and April, which isn't terrible. That's the workload I've decided that I like. So honestly, if January is the one where I've got not as much of a workload, let's try and hit 40K in Ruthless Ends by the end of January. And then I don't know if there's a better way to be doing this. Let's say February. How much can I write in a month if I've got other stuff going on? Realistically, how long does it take me to write a rough draft? If it's a short book, I can do it in a month. If it's a long book, I've done it in 2 months before. With this book being the 4th book in a series though, I don't know if I'm gonna like get stuck and have to take some time off to like brainstorm and problem solve and figure some stuff out. But I don't want to give myself that excuse to like let it drag on longer than it needs to. So I don't want to push it too hard, but I think it's realistic to say I want to complete a rough draft by the end of March. I think that's reasonable because if Ruthless Ends, if we have a completed draft by the end of March, once I'm done with the rough draft, I'm going to want to take a break from it to get my mind out of it. So that means we can start working on a new project. That's why that's significant. Should I just add my editing clients to the calendar so I can have a good look at them? That might be helpful. Okay. Okay, so why I decided to do the release day of Ruthless Ends in September when that's the month we're doing our Spain trip, I don't know. If you haven't been around that long, we're doing a writing retreat in Barcelona in September. I'll have the link down below if you want to look into it and see if you might want to join us. I think it's going to be really fun, but luckily it's not like the week of Ruthless Ends release, but it's going to be an interesting month. Okay, so if we have Ruthless Ends completed by the end of March, I'm thinking I'm just gonna want to take off like a week afterwards to not work on anything, but then I'm gonna start like itching to want to get started. So tentatively, we'll just say start Gracie's book April. I've already started Gracie's book. My memory card filled up, so I'm not sure where that stops recording. Basically, I was saying I want to add at least 15K to Gracie's book. In April. I already have about 15,000 words of it, so I want to aim to hit 30K by the end of that month. Unlike with Ruthless Ends where I have a designated date and so I don't want to let it drag out, I don't really feel that way about Gracie's book because, again, Ruthless Ends is the priority and I'm really going to be treating Gracie's book next year as something that I can work on when I need a break from Ruthless Ends. By the end of April, if I've taken a month off from Ruthless Ends and I've gotten a little bit of progress in Gracie's book, then I feel like I will be good to jump into revisions in May. And then ideally we would send to critique partners and beta readers in June. Revise Ruthless Ends more in July, and then it needs to be done in August. So that is our tentative plan for that one. And whenever I'm waiting on that, like when it's off with the beta readers and I'm taking a break, that's when I'll swap in Gracie's book and work on that, is kind of my thinking. So I think this is a good tentative plan. Again, things change, but I think it is helpful for me to see, like, if I have the rough draft completed by March, I think that'll have me in a good spot. There's a chance I might be able to have it completed by the end of February, so I'm going to be like trying for that, but if I don't manage that, I'm not going to be upset, and we'll see. Only working on 2 books in a year doesn't feel like very much to me, so there's a good chance we'll add a 3rd project in there, but I just don't know what it would be yet. Gracie's book is going to be the first book in a new series, so maybe I'll start working on the 2nd book in that series, or maybe it'll be something else entirely that I don't know yet. Like, I don't have the idea for yet. That is my tentative little plan for 2023 for my writing schedule. If you plan kind of like this for your year, I would love to hear about what your process looks like. What are you planning on working on next year? If you haven't checked out that goals video yet, I'll have that linked down below. The 3 projects that are my focus this year: Broken Perfect Lies, Ruthless Ends, and Gracie's book. But I'm interested to see if those end up being the things that I work on when we do a check-in at the end of the year, because it doesn't usually tend to go the way that I expect. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having an awesome day. All of my links are down below in the description. Can't really think of anything else for this outro. See you guys in the next one very, very soon. Bye. No.